Hello, Manito followers. Justus here. We're here sitting in Zug, Switzerland, which is being considered as the Silicon Valley of crypto. And together with me is Kellogg Fairbank, the newest edition of Manito team. And I just want to introduce you to Kellogg and his competencies and experience, and for him to tell a little bit more about his background and how he's involved in payments. So tell us a little bit more.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I guess let me start from the beginning.
Correct.
I guess we have about 30 minutes or so. No, I'm just joking. But I've been in the payments industry for about 8+ years. Started my career because sort of a random story, but I started an e-commerce website, and it took us from concept to go live. It took us about a month and a half.
Okay.
And it took us 4 months to get approved by a payment service provider. And that was back in the day, so that was before the Stripes and the Braintrees of the world, or whatever it may be. So I studied everything about payments, and then joined a company called Global Collect. And Global Collect is one of the stalwarts of the payments industry. Worked with premier merchants across the globe, and it was really a great learning experience for me. I learned everything about payments, as well as sort of a university. From Global Collect, I joined a company that you may know is Braintree, and I was the first international employee at Braintree, and headed up sales and business development for the company in Europe. When I joined Braintree, it was still a fairly it was brand new in Europe. So was responsible for the sales and working with larger merchants, as well as finding new merchants, right? And then from the Braintree days, it was a beautiful experience. Great startup to work for. Learned a ton from that team. We helped to grow it to 12 billion in total processing volume. Wow. Annually. We had 4 billion on mobile, and then sold to PayPal in December of 2013, I believe it was, and
what was the acquisition amount?
Yeah, 800 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and
wow.
So Braintree was really a get shit done mentality, and the culture was completely different at PayPal. I stayed at PayPal for about another year, but just it just wasn't for me. It wasn't what I'd experienced at Braintree, and really had a great time. So I left PayPal and have been doing consultancy work for large merchants across the board in the U.S., Europe, and a couple in Asia as well.
Okay.
So advising on payments infrastructure.
So throughout the whole 8 years, payments were kind of very attached to your profession and in your experience.
Right.
But what would you say where you mentioned a little bit more about what were your operations, but in day-to-day basis, what were the things that you would do in Braintree, and how did you help Braintree?
Well, when we first started out in Europe, the press release came out, and there was myself in Europe, and so for the first year, we really had to make a presence for ourselves, and we identified 5 tech hubs within Europe. Okay. Within those tech hubs, we really wanted to get sort of the premier online and mobile focused companies in those regions, because sort of the philosophy behind it was, if you get those guys, then the rest will follow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that actually did happen. Yeah. But we had some pretty premier customers, including Uber, Airbnb,
wow.
Dropbox, etc. And so that was what I was tasked with in the beginning, is really on the ground, getting those merchants up and running, and then getting the Braintree name out as much as possible in the beginning.
So because we knew all these competencies of yours and your experience, it was really important for us to get in touch with you. And first of all, we thought about maybe getting a little bit advice from you because you had that much of experience, but later it just clicked, and yeah. we thought about you joining the team. Yeah. And just tell a bit Manito followers how that happened, because I'm just gonna spoil this a little bit and tell that we decided to shoot a video and do a very personalized manner,
Right.
because we thought that it's super important for us to
Yeah.
get you on board. So
Right.
tell a little bit more.
So I typically get a lot of LinkedIn messages, but this one specifically from Lariness intrigued me. I don't know what the title was, but I opened it up, and I was sitting on a plane, and we were taxiing for takeoff, and so I clicked on the link. It was a YouTube video, but very personalized, as you
Yeah.
mentioned, and it really piqued my interest. So as soon as we landed, I'd written a reply saying, thanks for reaching out. Very interested. Let's plan a call. I think we had a call shortly thereafter, or a few days
Yeah.
thereafter, and we had about an hour call, and there was that click, right? Things just seemed to work, and I understood the value prop, straight off the bat. I know what you guys are building, and I said, all right, I'm coming to visit you guys.
Yeah,
Right.
that was exactly
Yeah.
one of the things that we were really happy about, because you were we talked for an hour, as you mentioned, the value proposition was very clear to you, and you said, how about I just visit you guys and understand what's really behind the
Yeah,
operation and things
exactly.
so you spent 3 days with us, and that's why we decided it's the best for us to kind of work together.
Exactly. Well, I think you can have a good spiel, if you will, but
Yeah.
I needed to see it firsthand, and that's why I decided to come visit you guys. And after meeting the team, seeing the MVP, seeing everything, just gel, if you will,
Yeah.
it really spoke volumes to me, and I was super impressed, and I left there with I was super excited.
A good feeling,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, a great feeling. Yeah. Yeah.
So, speaking about all that you've seen, the inside kitchen of Manitha, and what would you say is the main value proposition for merchants, because you work with merchants so much,
Mhm.
and how can we change, payments industry? How can we, challenge this status quo?
Right. Well, I think you're building a decentralized trust and reputation platform or service, if you will, right? Built on top of a mobile payments platform. For merchants, I think there are several key components. First is time to settlement is pretty
Yeah.
pretty a key benefit for them. With payment service providers, sometimes it could be a week, could be 2 weeks. Sometimes people are getting paid out monthly. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing is also that trust factor is fraud plays a key component in online sales and offline, but in online sales specifically as a card not present transaction. And what happens with cards and that type of thing is obviously there's going to be fraud.
Correct.
With a trust and reputation platform, it's helping to eliminate that, right? And
Yeah.
that's I see as the huge kicker, and something that is poised to be huge.
That's exactly what happened once we started developing the product and doing a lot of research. And then it came this kind of a clearance that, wow, how could payments industry work before without trust and reputation?
Exactly.
And how trust and reputation can work without payments, because it can be manipulated, and
Exactly.
blockchain brings that kind of value and the technology behind that.
100%.
What do you think about the adoption of this kind of technology, and crypto payments? Is it the future, and can it, we believe that it can shake up the payments world.
Oh,
And what can be done, like onboarding merchants and having as many merchants as possible?
Wait, what do you mean by as many merchants as possible?
Well, I mean, like bringing the adoption of crypto payments,
Right.
let's say, right, and decentralized trust and reputation system. Would the merchants be the crucial part of onboarding them to have that traction?
I think, I definitely think that is a key component, is having the merchants in order to get that traction itself. But But I think it's also looking at how, if you were to look at the market and how you would tackle it, is there's specific regions that where this could actually really be beneficial for. Perhaps certain verticals as well are super interesting. And I definitely think crypto is going to play a huge role in the future of payments, and actually not in the future, it's actually now.
Correct.
But I think it adds a next level, to compared to what today's traditional banking and payments platforms are all about. Those are, you could consider them antiquated.
Yeah.
And this is next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, once again, we're really happy that Kellogg is on board. 8 years of experience working in Braintree and having this understanding how the startup works and how to build that startup into
Right.
like a company that gets acquired for 800 million by a huge giant PayPal. And not to mention any names, but we think that it's about time to kind of change that status quo. So if you have any questions for Kellogg, feel free to join our Slack channel where he's present. And we'll just want to remind you that on the 31st of August the crowd sale starts, and the best way to get the news before the crowd sale is to subscribe to join the Slack channel and subscribe to the newsletter. So this is Justus and Kellogg from Zug in Switzerland, and see you soon. Bye bye.
Ciao.